That was a strategy that we had for this game. I don't know whether we can reproduce this in other matches. Maybe we can. Or maybe we can have different players operating in that particular position. But mainly that was a strategy, a game plan that we had for that specific fixture. That was due to the Real Madrid players' attributes, the way that they set up, the way that we wanted to defend mainly. We might need to do so again in other matches. As for Alvaro Morata, it was a strange situation. Because he picked up a knock with Strahinja Pavlovic yesterday during a training drill. Initially, I would never thought it would have been as serious as it is. But he's not available for selection. He's healthy, he's okay, but he's not ready to play. DAZN. Good afternoon, Coach. I'm going to ask you about Rafael Leão. After the Champions League game, Morata said that Leão is streets ahead of everyone else and he needs to realize that he can make footballing history. Do you think the performance that Rafael Leão produced was all the result of the way you've managed him in recent times? And will he start tomorrow, Rafael? Yes, Leão will start tomorrow at Cagliari. He had a good game. I said after the Real Madrid game that I think that Rafa can play even better. He can make better decisions. He had lots of openings and opportunities. But he produced a good performance. We all need to realize that tomorrow night's game is going to be a completely different match for Rafa. He'll be man-marked. He won't enjoy the same space that he had away at Real Madrid. It'll be a different game. But I expect that Rafa can once again produce a similar performance level. Gazzetta dello Sport. I'd like to just bounce back on what the colleague has just asked you. You said that Rafael Leão played well at Real Madrid, but you expect him to perform even better. Given that he was a match winner at Real Madrid with an assist, he had that shot that was that Pulisic scored on the rebound. Do you also expect him to score a few more goals, Rafael Leão? Is that the next step that he needs to make and can make? Because he also trapped back against Real Madrid. Do you also require more goals out of Leão? Look, Rafa had so many opportunities in the final third, 1v1 situations. He might have had 9 or 10 situations of this type. I think he can improve in terms of his final ball or his decision-making in that area of the pitch. And of course, like everyone, he can improve defensively. We need to keep working on him in order for him to learn these areas of the game. That's important for him, but above all, it's important for the team. Rai, good afternoon. How important is tomorrow's game in terms of forcing your way back into the title race up near the top end of the table? It's important for every single reason. We can't afford to get matches like this wrong. We can't afford to drop points at this stage of the season. We go into the Cagliari game on the back of a good performance. I don't think it would necessarily mean much, the win over Real Madrid, if we weren't to back it up with a victory over Cagliari. As I said, it will be a completely different match, completely different in terms of the way the opposition set up, because it's a Serie A match, but it's hugely important to win tomorrow for all of these reasons I've just listed. Media said, hi. Another question about Rafael Leao, but more about his relationship with you. You said that he won't necessarily have as much space as he got at Real Madrid. You want more from him. But given it was a very strong decision, the fact that you left him out and put him on the bench, how did he take the news? He was almost undroppable, yet this was a brave decision from you. So I want to understand the rapport that you have. What's your relationship like with Rafa? It's always been a good relationship. We've always had a good relationship. Obviously, I can't tell you everything. But we, coaches, try to have different strategies. I've tried to take a certain approach with Rafa. Maybe that wasn't the best approach. Now I've tried a different approach. And it looks like it had an effect on him. That's the way we work as head coaches. I've never had any issues with Rafa. Quite the opposite. He gracefully accepted the decision. He reacted, he responded. That's what I wanted to see out of him, but everything's great on that score. I expect Rafa to kick on from this. If this is the solution, then maybe we'll be seeing Rafa on the bench more going forward. But we'll see, we'll see. Corriere della Sera. Good afternoon. I wanted to ask you, have you come up with a reason why in the two matches in which you were underdogs, it felt like it was obvious that you were going to lose before you went out there? I'm talking about the derby against Inter in the Real Madrid game, and yet, to great surprise, you actually overturned the odds and deservedly won both matches. It's the second time that in the biggest games, the most important matches, that you've actually shown your best displays of the season. Why? Have you come up with a reason for that? Have you got an explanation? There might be a number of explanations behind this, reasons for it. First, games like these are hugely motivating for the players. If we're completely honest, the players are more motivated for fixtures such as these more than other games. And that's one of the most concerning reasons why I'm a little bit wary about playing Cagliari as opposed to how I felt on the eve of the Real Madrid game. But they're completely different games, completely different. When you play against teams such as these, like Real Madrid, what happens is the worst thing you can do is not having the bravery to play football. Because they're matches where there is space. There is space. The issue is a number of teams, when they play games like this, they're a little bit reticent. They're afraid of playing football. They're focused on defending. But I think here it's important to actually convey the message to the players that there is space to play here. We can play football. We can control and dominate proceedings. And once we start to do that, that then breeds confidence among the team, among the players. And that's why I said I don't know whether they understood me or whether I've not necessarily explained things to you. Sometimes it's actually harder to play against Monza or Cagliari. In matches like the Real Madrid game, there is space in which to operate. That's the main thing. I'm sure that we won't have the same space tomorrow at Cagliari to play football. La squadra, quando sta in questo contesto, And when the team find themselves in these circumstances, they show courage. They control matches. They play as a unit. And that's why we played well. Can I ask a second question? And I also wanted to ask you, after the historic win this week, whether you feel that the fans love you a bit more now. That's only natural. But the attitude, the fans' attitude has changed compared with this summer. No, I don't think anything's changed. In my mind, nothing's changed. I need to press ahead in the direction that I think is the right one. It's not just because I won a game away at Real Madrid. If I don't win tomorrow, then I'll go back to where I was. I need to remain level-headed. Today I said that I'm not the person where if I win, I watch everything. If I don't win, I don't read anything. No, I don't read, I don't look at anything. We're still pressing ahead with the direction I've always believed in.
Buongiorno mister.
Buongiorno.
In virtù proprio delle considerazioni che ha fatto lei adesso sul
Given what you've just said about Milan actually being more comfortable in certain matches where you're allowed to play football, and given some of the other things that you said, I said if Rafael Leao gets better, you'll then win the Champions League. Do you feel you've got a cup-winning side? Carlo Ancelotti in 2002-2003 dropped a lot of points against Perugia, Livorno, and in 2006-2007 the team had even fewer points in Serie A than you guys had, and yet they went on to win the Champions League. Have you asked yourselves this? Maybe our best competition is the Champions League. That's where we're best suited. No, to be honest, I haven't given that any thought at all. Do you like it? Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I also like the fact that the team understand that here in Italy, Serie A is the priority. We need to have the same attitude, we need to have the same courage to win matches domestically. Serie A is our priority. Sure, we've played against big teams, we've always played well against them, but we need to do likewise with the other teams here in Serie A. That's what I'm most concerned about. Il Giornale? Hello, Gaffer. Good afternoon. Thank you. I wanted to ask you two things. First, the Spain head coach has just said that he's spoken to Alvaro Morata. Morata's fit, and he will certainly play either the first or the second game in the Nations League. So I'd like to ask, who said that? The Spain head coach, De La Fuente. De La Fuente, the Spain head coach, said that he's spoken with Morata, who will play either the first or the second game. Given that after the international break you're up against Juventus, would it not be the case to explain to both Morata and the Spain head coach that he'd be better off resting up? I don't know how he said that because there is a protocol in place. And after a knock, the player actually has to take 10 days off. So I don't know how he's able to play the first or the second game. I think that's a little bit strange. The news I have, the instructions I've been given, is that the player can't do anything for the next 10 days. That's a medical protocol. That's not an option. It's not an option. It's non-negotiable. I think it's obligatory. It's mandatory. I don't know how on earth he can say that. Great. My second observation is this. You keep repeating, quite rightly, is that the Cagliari game will be different to the Real Madrid match because you're certainly have less space. Given that Cagliari will sit back and wait for you, do you not think it might be the case to actually change something in terms of your shape, your formation? If I knew that this would have an impact, I would change it. But I'm not sure. Can you give me a bit of advice on what I can do in order to win the match? But we play with three midfielders. How on earth can you say we don't play with three midfielders? Fofana, TG Reinders, Christian Pulisic. We've played with four midfielders now, with Musa as well. We've always played with three midfielders. Hi, Paolo. Hi. So, attitude, you need to play well at Cagliari, but in order to play well at Cagliari, as you did, albeit with a few issues at Monza, do you not need to try and actually go out there with the right determination, that meanness, because at times it feels like the team actually are a little bit too relaxed in their approach. Maybe you could go out there with a bit more energy right from the word go. I'm sure that we don't agree on the Monza game. But I think the team played with the right attitude against Monza. They played with greater difficulty because we came up against opposition that actually gives you different issues, man v man all over the pitch, man marking, but they did go out there with the right mindset and the right meanness and edge for a game like that. Quite honestly, I expect us to have a similar approach. At times, it's not necessarily a question of attitude, it's about just how difficult the match is. VfB Stuttgart, who played against Atalanta, can you say they didn't have the right attitude? No, they did have the right attitude, but they had the difficulty of playing against a team that defends like that, 11 v 11 all over the pitch. I talk a lot about that. Because as a head coach, I know that there are a number of things that are very difficult to come up against. Teams that play like that defend man against man all over the pitch. It's difficult. Good afternoon. Besides the ability and tactical shape, you're also highlighting your ability to actually make all of the players feel important. On the 5th of October, you said you needed to find a stable centre-back pairing, but in actual fact, you've actually got Malik Chow, he's come back in, he's looking like he was in his first season here. How difficult is it, Okafor's come on, he's looked good, Chukwueze's looked good. How difficult is it for a player who's in form, but also making a different decision, because you know it's for the best of the team based on the opposition? And will Tammy Abraham start tomorrow, and could that mean that you set up differently? It's quite difficult to pick my team at this moment in time because we've got a number of players, because they've got the Chukwu situation. Chukwu's playing well, he's in good form. All I can do is explain to the players that it's a tactical decision. It's not a choice based on individual performance levels, just like all the other players. But now I think we've got greater scope to make changes. And these are also based on matches, the specific characteristics of each fixture. We played that recent game with Malik Chow and Pavlovic. That was a more physical game, big physical forwards. Now we had a game where we were up against more pacey opponents, so Fikayo Tomori played. Now I've got greater scope to actually pick my team based on the matches themselves and the opposition skill set. And I think the players understand that well, because I'm very open. I look them in the eye, I explain these decisions, I explain things when I feel that they need to be explained. I think it's a positive to have the option to do so, and I think the players understand that well in terms of my team selection. I don't think there's any issue on that score. I can say so because in half an hour's time you'll know everything. Because the gaffer's here, the team, no. No, Francesco Camarda will start tomorrow. Good afternoon, Gaffer. I don't know whether you knew, but this is your 4-month anniversary as Milan head coach. Could you give us your take on the first period at the club? Are you happy with how things have gone? I'm very happy. It's a huge source of pride to be Milan head coach. It is difficult, yes. But I'm very, very proud and I'm very, very motivated. Seeing the work that we've done, the progress that the team have made. It's very motivating to see the signs coming out of the team. I'm very motivated and I'm very happy.
Buongiorno, mister.
Good afternoon. You said that the Real Madrid game and the Cagliari match would be very different, but in order to approach this match, in terms of the improving as a team, I'm not talking about your formation, but more about your tactical approach. How do you get better in terms of approaching matches like this? Monza, Cagliari, how far off are we seeing Milan being able to go into these games with a bit of a swagger? I want to explain in detail what I actually mean and what I think. When you have a game like Real Madrid, we aim to try and exploit a certain amount of space because we have space. What I mean is, when you play against teams like Real Madrid, you need to have a good positional style of play. But when you play against teams like Cagliari, you need other factors, you need other things. Because when there's man marking, there is no space, there is no positional play. There are other factors which come into play and are important, and I don't really want to say which ones they are and why they're important. I think the way to approach the game, the team's intentions need to be different. I think against Monza and against Napoli at times, we've already done some very good things. And I think that we need to keep improving these things, which are very important in my mind when it comes to taking teams like these.
Buongiorno, mister. È chiaro che con l'annuncio di CAMARDA ci ha stupito.
Of course, you've caught us all a little bit off guard with this announcement about Francesco Camarda. So I'd like to ask, how is Luka Jovic, and is he still part of your plans? Yes, he is part of our plans. But the issue is Luka's not fit. Luka's not fit. He's got an issue which continues to plague him. Luca has trained in recent days, but he's in pain. We gave him another fitness test today, and he's still got this very significant pain, and it limits his movement, so he won't travel with us. Giovanni Delia. Good afternoon, Gaffer. Let me ask you a very simple question. It means a lot to me because you got congratulations, but Yunus Musa, not much has been made about of him because you've picked him almost everywhere. He's played in midfield, fullback, wing back. How important is it to have players that are so versatile like Yunus Musa? Successful teams are made with players such as these. I'm absolutely sure of that. Yunus Musa is very important. He'd already had an excellent performance against Napoli. Now I asked Musa to play in another position, and once again he performed very well. I know he's the sort of player that's always willing to work hard, to help out the team, to make sacrifices. He's got a lot of qualities that I really like. I think he was a decisive player, a match winner in the last game. I didn't speak about Yunus Musa because, if you only ask about Rafael Leão, then can't speak about other players. I wanted to talk about Musa, but the questions didn't come in about him. Carlo Pellegatti. I hate you. I hate you today. Why do I hate you? Because I prepared a question and then you say to me that CAMARDA is going to start. No, I'm not going to let that go. So I've got an extra question. I'll put to one side the question. Now you need to explain to me, why CAMARDA? How did he take the decision? Why? We were thinking that Tammy Abraham would play, and now it's all going to be headlines tomorrow about CAMARDA. You need to give me a big explanation as to why CAMARDA, how he's taken the news. So this is rather surprising. I don't think it is surprising that CAMARDA is going to start. He's a kid who works with us and trains with us day in, day out. I think everyone believes a great deal in CAMARDA. He trains very well. He understands the position very well. I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. He's a quality player. And he shows day in, day out that he has quality. Look, at this moment in time, Alvaro Morata has a very specific role because Morata isn't always the team's striker, the team's focal point. Often he's the player that unblocks a passing lane between Christian Pulisic and TG Reinders. Quite honestly, at this moment in time, I think CAMARDA is better placed to carry out this role than Tammy Abraham is necessarily. And Tammy Abraham isn't 100% fit. He's a lot better, but he's not 100% fit. Yes, you're right. No, he's not 100% fit. But I've got the utmost belief in Francesco CAMARDA. He trained today, he trained very, very well. He's a kid who is the age that he is, but he's hugely mature for his age. He's mature beyond his years, and that's what matters to me. He's not a kid who's afraid of nothing. He's someone who comes in here with the other players. He looks like a 25, 26-year-old. He's brave, he's aggressive, he works a great deal for the team defensively. We had this issue with Alvaro Morata yesterday in training, and I must say one thing, I had no doubt whatsoever as to who would come in and replace Morata.